NACAC proposed what we call the Office for Public Integrity. This new institution really responds to the nature and context of corruption in South Africa. So my name is 𝗦𝗲𝗸𝗵𝗺. Until August, I was a member of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council. Our proposal to establish the Office for Public Integrity was responding to several gaps in the system. The first gap is really about how our current architecture only really responds to corruption rather than preventing it before it happens. It became really important that we establish an institution that is able to predict and detect any kind of corruption risk and mitigate these before the risk has been completed and a crime of corruption has been done. The OPI, which would ultimately take over the functions of the SIU, would be empowered to conduct investigations or systemic investigations on its own accord without having to wait for a political decision coming from the president of the country. NACAC began to identify several limitations or structural challenges within the anti-corruption architecture that South Africa already has. And this informed a number of our responses to this in terms of the recommendations we gave to the president, to cabinet, and to the country. The challenge of coordination between the existing anti-corruption organizations in the system, the various oversight bodies, the various institutions, often have overlapping mandates, which creates in many occasions, a lack of clarity and confusion around who should be responsible for what, when which agency is able to intervene under what circumstances, the issue around the independence of some of these organizations. I want to really emphasize that we even have a constitutional court judgment that has established the real importance and requirement for the establishment of a corruption-busting organization that is independent, not just in name, but also structurally and on the basis of how it is able to receive and organize its own resources and personnel. Corruption is systemic, it is institutionalized, and we need an effective agency that is dedicated in terms of going into the various public organizations, being able to do risk assessments, but also being able to do systemic investigations that enable us to detect whether, where and how corruption happens in an organization, in order then to not only recover the lost assets, getting those people who are responsible for that corruption being appropriately disciplined as well as prosecuted, but most significantly in terms of establishing the appropriate measures inside of the organizations that mitigate the risk so that we can prevent corruption from happening in the ways that it had happened before. I think it is a fair assessment to say that the people of South Africa are feeling quite dispirited and perhaps, are losing hope in the ability of government and the state to really stop corruption in its tracks and transform the state to not only become a developmental one, but also a capable and accountable state that operates with integrity. To do that, it has to be a team sport in the way that corruption is a team sport. We really need the support of the people of South Africa, private persons, political organizations, civil society organizations, including trade unions and their federations, to fight for an institution such as the OPI and its independence.